this drum about Michael Carter being the lead back, talking about how elusive he is, his ability to make plays, and Tevin Coleman's actually been running ahead of him for the Jets right now. Carter has been getting his reps in the individual work portion of minicamp right now for the Jets. Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson working with the rookie and presumed starter Zach Wilson at OTAs. LaMichael Pirine and Josh Adams have been working with the backups. Michael Carter right now, Farrell, a guy that I grabbed in a couple spots. I like him this year. I don't love him, but running back 31 in the mid-7th round, you look at the other running backs there. Now, I know you're probably going to take your guy Raheem Mostert over Carter, and most FFPC guys have been doing just that. But Carter's going ahead of Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette. I think I'd do that too. I think I'd rather have Carter than Melvin Gordon or Leonard Fournette right now. How high are you on the rookie?
I like Carter very much, but I'm going to have to approach playing Carter with a crystal ball, and I would slow down our writer here. If people want to know who Michael Carter is, they can think of another Jet running back, Leon Washington. This player's the same size, same build as Leon Washington. What did we always talk about Leon Washington? We wished he would get more opportunity. So we got to look at what's in the way of this player having opportunity. And, his name is Tevin Coleman, and a lot of people roll their eyes at Tevin Coleman, but this is the third go-round between this player and this offensive coordinator. Mike LaFleur was at Atlanta when Coleman showed up. He followed on the bigger free agent deal to San Francisco. The head coach and the offensive coordinator, LaFleur, was the passing game coordinator at San Francisco. These guys know this player. This is not like a veteran player that was added on by the general manager and tells the coaches to make a fit. This is a player that has, the 2020, he spent the entire year essentially injured, only had one start. So when we look at a cursory look at the Jets' schedule suggests they're going to have an easier time to start than they will to finish. So you think that, the rookie running back, he will eventually, as our writer here says, he will eventually earn the job. Well, Coleman's got the opportunity to play against some competition that might be a bit easier for him to break out with. I could talk about this all night, and we got our guests waiting. It doesn't mean that I don't like or know Carter. Carter does exactly what he must do to be successful in this system. The reason he was drafted, this is a zone blocking scheme. It mirrors the Mike Shanahan offense that goes back years. It's going to be a shame to see Mekhi Becton in a zone blocking system. That's a whole other story. But, Carter was a standout with the 3-cone drill and the shuttle drill on his pro day. He's a natural fit for this offense. But, Balky, the relationships with the coaching staff and what they believe in with Tevin Coleman. And I'll tell you this. We saw, in 2020, we saw both these running backs from Carolina tear up Wake Forest and tear up Duke. And, my memory goes back to 2019 when the San Francisco, I don't even have to leave the state of North Carolina. Coleman comes into Carolina, rushes for 3 touchdowns, catches another 4-touchdown game on 100 yards. And then I look one more aspect of the depth chart of this team. There's a lot of young players on it. Do I think they're going to open the season with a lot of chances with a rookie running back and a rookie quarterback? So if I'm going to make this choice with this player in the 7th round, I'm going to also look at where I can pick up Coleman, which has normally been around the 14th or 15th, although in the Football Guys today, I think some relatively astute gentleman picked Coleman in the 12th round.
Yeah, ADP currently of Tevin Coleman, running back 57 at the 1403. That has been climbing a little bit, too. If you look at getting Michael Carter in the 7th, getting Tevin Coleman in the 12th, 13th, might not be the worst stack in the world as far as trying to lock up what should be an improved backfield for the Jets this year. And, Farrell, Leon Washington, you brought him up. He probably won't have to go far to pick Leon Washington's brain, will Michael Carter. Leon Washington, an assistant special teams coach currently for the New York Jets. Very interesting how time is a flat circle there. Let's get to tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring him in right now. He's been playing fantasy football for the past decade and got into high-stakes leagues in the FFPC in the 2019 season, playing a few best balls in the main event. Today, he's heavily invested in the Football Guys Players Championship. We'll be going to Vegas for the live main event draft this year as well. To date, he's already won 3 leagues, hopes to have a big upcoming season this year with the FFPC. Please welcome into the show, Derek Kappes. Derek, good Friday to you, and thanks for hopping aboard tonight, man.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Hey, Balky, Farrell. Happy Friday to you guys as well.
It's good to... Thank you so much, man. Thank you. You probably already saw this today. I think you liked the tweet, but apparently David Hubbard, who is a former FFPC main event champ, plays a ton of Football Guys leagues, obviously. You have irritated him being in the same draft before because it seems like you're always taking the players that he's targeting.
Yeah, I've seen him in several of my drafts the past couple of years. It's been great. I love competing against all of these great players, and in all these drafts, I typically see several guys in all of the same drafts. So it's really awesome to be able to play against these guys.
Derek, I know that we are heading out to California. You're coming to us from California tonight. What are you doing for a living out there in the Bay Area?
Sure. So I work for the job company Career Builder. You guys familiar? They're like the oldest job board.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So similar to like LinkedIn, Indeed, but I'm an account manager for them. So I sort of manage a bunch of accounts for them. So it's a great gig. I moved out to California with my wife during COVID from Chicago.
Oh.
So been here since August of last year in Santa Barbara. And the live draft, they've been on my radar here, so I figured why not. It's a very short flight to Vegas. And me and my wife are going to stay at the Planet Hollywood for 5 nights. So we're definitely excited about that.
I love it, Balky. We have a contrarian move, a guy from sweet home Chicago. Everybody's leaving California. Derek is headed right into the heart of the Bay Area and is going to flee to his annual sojourn to Las Vegas. I love that, and it'll be a pleasure to meet you. And between now and then, I've got to figure out what to do with 2 players because I haven't drafted them anywhere. When I get to the 8th, 9th, 10th round and start looking at Dolphins, especially at the wide receiver position, it's usually Waddle and Parker. And I understand you're really loading up on Tua and Will Fuller. What am I missing in these 2 players, and why are these players guys you're targeting?
Yeah, so, Tua he's probably one of my top best ball targets for the QB2. He pretty much gets forgotten. He's going in like the 10 to 12th round in best balls, which is really late for quarterbacks. So, you can really wait on quarterbacks and best balls and essentially get him as your QB1 if you want. But, I think he just has great value this year. He had no preseason last year. He was coming off that serious hip injury. Many people were, attributing that to something similar to like Bo Jackson. So, like, I didn't foresee him having a great year. And then sort of this offseason, they've built that roster around him. They've added Fuller, they've added Waddle, and I think he should be back close to 100%. So, why not draft Tua late, as your QB2 and sort of see what happens there.
Yeah, but not. I mean, again, we're talking about draft capital, but we're also talking about the potential ceiling of these late round guys. That's what you want to do. You don't necessarily draft for floor, as a lot of people do in the beginning of the draft. You want to draft for ceiling late, and Tua Tagovailoa is a perfect example of that. You already said it, Derek. You are a Bears fan coming out of the Midwest from Chicago. Let's talk about David Montgomery here and the rest of the Bears running backs. Now, Montgomery last year took advantage of Tariq Cohen's injury, and he was flat out awesome, like the last 5-6 weeks of the season. Helped a lot of people win a lot of fantasy championships. You think he's ready to do that again in 2021, Or when you look at the rest of the Bears that are being drafted, as far as the running backs go right now, is there a better investment that you can make in your drafts in the Chicago backfield other than David Montgomery?
Yeah, so I think that backfield, I mean, Montgomery's who you want. Damian Williams is interesting, but, I need to see more of sort of how he's going to be used here. Just see how he looks in preseason, because he hasn't played since, 2 seasons ago. But, just like you said, I mean, he was a league winner last year. Like the last 6 games, I think he was over 20 PPR points like each game, and he won a lot of people, championships last year. And I think he was the RB4, which is pretty insane value for where people got him. In many of the drafts I'm doing now, he's going to like the 3-4 turn. I've even gotten him at the 409 as my first running back, and I was like ecstatic for that. Mm-hmm. But he, if he keeps, I know Cohen's back, but if Montgomery can still get those 3 to 4 targets, each game, if he can get those 2 receptions, like I think he's going to be a low end RB1, and people are getting him now, in the RB 15 to 20 range. So I think there's a lot of meat on that bone for people to sort of get value from where he's going right now.
Hey, Derek, you're prolifically drafting. When does the
too much
best ball drafts? When do the best balls in and the classic or managed leagues begin? And when it's all said and done, what's going to be your percentage of each?
So I typically, to be honest, I probably won't do much more best ball besides the best ball championship that FFPC has. I might do 1 or 2 of those, but I started drafting best balls, I think, on the first day back in, bulky low, was that January, February?
Yep, absolutely, so January, yep.
Yeah. I just like to, dip my toes in, see what the ADP is. So I've probably done around 20 best balls. So I'm pretty much done with best balls and now sort of transitioning more into classic redraft.
Well, I was right there with you, and I naturally the Super Bowl was very fresh in my mind, and I was surprised with some of the value of the Tampa players that you could get in the best ball, especially when you could stack a position like Gronkowski and O.J. Howard was one that I was very interested in. It was a no-brainer for best ball. As we transition into managed leagues, what are you doing about these 2 players now? How do you want to fit them into a 20-man roster, and do you see value for either of them?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, they're best for best ball. I did do an FPC on Monday of this week, and I did take, I think I took Gronk in the 13th or 14th round, and then O.J. Howard was last round. So I'm just sort of grabbing both of them, and just sort of seeing how the season plays out. If one of them, takes a stranglehold on the position, great. To be honest, I think they're both gonna, take targets from each other. But, if you can get the tight end one for Brady and potentially have that as your tight end 2 on your team, I think it's worth doing that.
Talking with Derek Kappes, a multi-league winner in both the FFPC and the Football Guys Players Championship. You follow him on Twitter at Derek Kappes. Derek, you look at J.K. Dobbins, his second-year running back, expected to take a big step forward for the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm just kind of curious as I look at his ADP. Not the biggest pass catcher in the world is Dobbins, and right now Football Guys drafters are selecting him fairly high, running back 16 at the 303, so sort of right after that 2-3 turn. Do you think that is an overdrafting of Dobbins? Is that drafting more for his ceiling rather than what he's going to put up? And if you do believe people are overdrafting him right now, do you think Gus Edwards makes for a better investment, a better target in the mid-rounds?
Yeah, so I mean, this was probably the hardest. This is a tough question. I'm a Dobbins truther. I have several shares of him in FPC leagues. I guess it really depends on where you get him. Most of my shares are in the 3rd round. And I think he's a great value in the middle of the third there. I saw Roman came out today